What's going on YouTube? I'm going to just fire up the Facebook real quick and then we're going to start it up. Hopefully we'll fire up the Facebook. It looks like it's loading. There we go. What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? I have a few stories I want to talk about today. First one I think is extremely important, which is the former president of the United States, President Trump, has been banned from Facebook. They're trying to ban him permanently. And the press that's supposed to protect freedom, and I don't know if they even pretend to anymore, but they are pretty much trying to force the board to push even further. So I have that story. We'll talk about that. Second thing I want to talk about is the island of Seychelles. I probably didn't pronounce that right, but I'll try to. I guess it's, I have the info here. It's an island or archipelago of 115 islands in the Indian Ocean off of East Africa. They're known as the most vaccinated country, according to Bloomberg and other sources. And it looks like their cases are on the rise and they're going back to curbing the curbs, they call it, which is just a lockdown. It's a nicer name for a lockdown. So the most vaccinated country back on lockdowns, according to mainstream press. We're going to read that. Yankee Stadium is talking about vaccinated and non-vaccinated sections. We're going to talk about that. And the final story of the day that I want to talk about is India, because a lot of people keep asking me, what's going on with India? What's going on with India? While I can't tell you everything about India, I do have some data that's pretty mainstream that I can tell you about India. So we're going to talk about that. That's the story of the day. Hopefully people roll in on Facebook. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm not that worried about the numbers, but I saw it was like having trouble loading. So just give me a thumbs up on Facebook. Make sure that it's, everything's smooth and clear so I could begin. And that's what it is. We'll see what it is. From YouTube, I guess I'll talk about the India stuff as people are rolling in, because I find this very important. A lot of people on the left wing, a lot of people in the mainstream press, a lot of people in the right wing, they're talking about, deaths and cases just surging in India. And this is like, the end of the world level stuff. They're fear mongering absolutely insanely. Of course, lives matter, but I want people to go to worldometers.info for themselves, or anywhere you could find there's multiple websites that are keeping up to the date, data on all of this stuff. It's pretty well kept at worldometers.info, but you could go to, I would think there's a few websites that are like mainstream approved, data of how the cases, the counts and everything. I like worldometers.info. So you can do something on worldometers.info. It's called total cases per million population and total deaths per million population, which is deaths and cases per capita. To me, I don't know about you guys, but I think the most important metric is how many people are dying. If 99.9% of people are living, that's a good thing. We have viruses, we have coronaviruses, we have flus. It's not good to get, but we don't want people to die. I think that should be important. So to me, the most important metric is deaths per capita. How many people died versus how big is your country? Because if you have 1 billion people and this amount of people died, it's a lot different than being Israel or Seychelles or one of the smaller countries that are even smaller than Israel. So if you look at deaths per capita for India, this is all I'm going to say. I'm not telling you what's going on there. I don't live there. I don't know what's going on with the cure, the virus, etc. India is currently 112th in deaths per capita. That means there's 111 countries, according to the data that they're keeping, that have more deaths per capita than India. So I just find it shocking that there's so much fear mongering about India. And if you look at the data, you can see that there's 100+ countries that are doing worse in deaths per capita. I've never heard that brought up. I talked about that with Sweden when a lot of people on the left and the right were fear mongering about how bad Sweden was going to be because they didn't do a mask mandate and it took them a while to do any sort of lockdown. Sweden is currently 32nd in deaths per capita. For reference, the United States, which did more lockdowns, is 18th. The UK, which did way more lockdowns, is 15th. Peru, which had, some say, the world's strictest lockdown or a very strict lockdown, 14th. Italy, 12th. Belgium, 10th. So you could find all these lockdown countries in deaths per capita are doing worse than America, are doing worse than Sweden, who didn't do a hard mask mandate and a hard lockdown for as long as other countries. I don't think they have any mask mandate in Sweden. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they have schools. You can get on public transport without masks. They're doing better than the United States in deaths per capita. And if you scroll all the way down, it's hard to find India because there's over 100 countries doing worse than COVID data deaths per capita, which is something they'll never say. And they have unlimited games to play, unlimited tricks. I don't want to get into it right now because I want to talk about the Facebook story first. But guys, now would be the time to pay attention. I know a lot of my audience does, but if you think, you're just going to get out of this really easily after you've sacrificed so much freedom, so much liberty, and so much narrative to these people who so clearly expect 95% of the population to not do the math, to not do the research, to not do the addition and subtraction and multiplication on their own, it's not going to head to a very great direction unless enough people start paying like minimal attention. So that's some data they won't talk about. I just want to talk about that for India. It's pretty important. First story I want to talk about is, the Facebook Oversight Committee, I believe their name is. Let me look. Hold on. Facebook Oversight Board was designed. I'm reading right now CNN Business. It's trustworthy. The Facebook Oversight Board was designed to make some of Facebook's most difficult decisions for the company. And recently, they essentially tried to say they think that Trump should be permanently banned. And I saw that the Atlantic and CNN, they're very frustrated with the Facebook Oversight Board because apparently they said, we think that he should be suspended and you're right to suspend him. But then they passed the decision back to Facebook and said, we're not going to say, like, this is the technical talk that I'm reading in the news. We're not going to say that he should permanently be banned. We think he should, but essentially Facebook, it's up to you to figure out the rule that says that that's applicable because, the Facebook Oversight Committee clearly wants to ban Trump permanently, but they don't seem to want to be the ones to do it. They want to give it back to like Zuckerberg and whoever runs the Facebook operation at high levels. So the press is furious, or at least upset, that Facebook didn't go the full distance, or the Facebook Oversight Board didn't go the full distance and make the decision that Trump should be permanently banned from Facebook. These are the people that are claiming to care about the freedom of the press. I don't like Obama. I think he did a lot of wicked things. I don't like George Bush. To be honest, I don't like Bill Clinton. I don't really like that many presidents. I don't have like stuffed animals of them being like, oh my God, I love George Bush. Like, they all to an extent started a war, passed some laws. I mean, you could have your opinion, but I'm not a big fanatic, but I think they should have the right to speak, the First Amendment, especially given the high stature they were. And it's the same thing with Trump. I'm clearly critical of Trump. I think he's been highly annoying and fake in the last year. Operation Warp Speed, flip-flopping on lockdowns, putting on an act. I don't even agree with the Capitol event. I think really he led his supporters to the slaughter. I think he misled them, had an aimless idea, and it wound up being very costly, not just for him, but for millions of people who support him, which I don't see that he even seems to care that much about, these people that put their lives on the line for him. But in general, with all that being said, I'm not just a Trump sycophant that thinks everything he does is great. There's no way, shape, or form that they should be banning him on Facebook. And it's just so cowardly. And these people clearly have double standards. We could talk about it all day. There have been Democrats who have said far, far worse, including Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. You can find videos of them doing 10 times what Trump did. Was it dumb what Trump did? I think so. However, they're clearly biased. They hate Trump. They hate conservatives. They hate anybody who questions their medical agenda, and they will go as far as they possibly. If they'll put a mask on a 3-year-old, what won't they do? If they'll put a mask or 2 masks on a 4-year-old and 5-year-olds on a playground, there's nothing these sick psychopaths won't do. So the fact that they're trying to ban Trump is not shocking. I think, this is obvious but sad at this point. And all I can say, obviously, I don't make the decisions, but, I'm sure this cry will go unnoticed, or this call will go unnoticed, but does the Facebook Oversight Board, does anybody ever get to talk to them? Because, I'm not the biggest hotshot in the world, but I do have one of the bigger pages, I think, in the United States. I constantly reach top 10, number 1 post. They're freaking out because I posted about a Johnson & Johnson, article from CNN, but I'm one of the bigger pages on Facebook. So my question is, can I speak to you guys? Can I have a conversation? I don't just obsess over everything that Trump does, but I don't think you guys are honest. I don't think the Facebook Oversight Board is accurate. I don't think they're fair. I don't think they're balanced. I don't think they're reasonable. I don't think they're scientific. I certainly don't think they're apolitical. And I don't think that they make decisions based on logic, reason, and justice. I think it's all political and they're phonies, because I could see with myself, maybe it's not the Facebook Oversight Committee, but whatever Facebook's doing, they don't care what they do. The independent fact checkers, they censor me. They're wrong. I could prove they're wrong in court. I could prove they're wrong to Facebook. I could prove that they lied and that my info is accurate. however I can, but I don't even have the chance to prove that because they run the show like these authoritarian, whatever you want to call, dictators. Like, you are the peasant, you put on a mask, you put on 2 masks, you have to submit. This is what they're doing on a global scale. Big tech is colluding with government, is colluding with big pharma, which is everything. Your government controls you. The corporations you have to shop at and go to control you. And also the big tech that we all use like 10 to 12 hours a day in some cases. This is like our whole life. Unfortunately, it's sad, but big tech, government, and the corporations, they have now decided if you want to be a human being that doesn't want to submit to big pharma, Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson, injecting you with one of their products every year. This doesn't end with 2 shots. Every year, every other year, whenever they decide that you can, if you don't want to submit to that, you are now a second-tier citizen in this country. You are now a second-tier citizen in this world. You are now a peasant. You now lose your freedom, your right to travel, your right to cruise, your right to. This is the president they're setting. So these people are complete psychos. I'm sure after saying that, they're not going to want to talk to me because I'm sure there's nice people on the board and such. But, I think what they're doing is egregious on every level of free speech, of everything. I mean, what aren't they doing after March 2020th? And I think the sad irony is, one, I think Trump deserves a platform, obviously, and they're not being fair to him. But also it's like this guy, had an opportunity to do something for the American people. And I think Operation Warp Speed is kind of, put us in this position. It's like when you lock down the country and you give these pharmacy industries billions of dollars, you give them a sort of control over your life that's like unreasonable. They can close down beaches. They can close down churches. Now they feel like they can do anything. Why wouldn't they feel that way? So, I want to stick to positive today. I support the president, the ex-president, although I think he's done a lot to, disappoint me. He definitely deserves a platform. He definitely deserves a voice. And if they can do it to the president, who can't they do it to? But we get that. We know that this is not revolutionary intel. Everybody sees what they're doing, the double standards, the hypocrisy, the anti-First Amendment stuff. These people won't stop. So, I pray that Trump does more with his email blast and talk about how great Moderna and the FDA are, because we could use a leader, and I'll stand up for him 10 times out of 10 when it's the right thing to do. I would love to see him start standing up for me and other people again, because it's been quite a disappointing year. But my last thing is Facebook oversight board. I don't know if these people monitor my videos or anyone at Facebook. Since I get, 600 million views on your platform and I have one of the biggest pages, can I have a conversation with somebody? I'm not a mean guy. Everybody knows that. I would love to sit down with anyone. I don't care if they're liberal, conservative, somebody big at Facebook. I think a conversation would be a beautiful thing to talk about what I'm doing, what Trump's doing, what you're missing about the Trump base. Make no mistake, Facebook and Twitter, they don't want to understand the 80 million people who voted for Trump. Most of these people are great people. Whether I agree or disagree on some things, like the framing of all these people as terrorists or evil, sick, racist, it's so sick what they're doing. So I think it would be a beautiful thing if I could sit down with somebody at Facebook and talk about this, because, it's just absolutely ridiculous, the path they're going down. And it just seems like whether it's banning Trump, taking away some things that I have on the site and restricting me based off accurately fact-checking Jen Psaki when she doesn't tell the truth. Meanwhile, they can fact-check anybody they want all the time. Fact-check this, fact-check that. You can't. They fact-check for a living, and 80% of the time they're being misleading with their fact-checks. I do it like one time and tell the truth about it, but they can't be questioned. They're like authoritarian dictators. They're not liberal. They're certainly not democratic. And to the people who voted Democrat, I think the Republicans screwed us last year, but what do you expect? Los Angeles, San Francisco, you voted for this. You voted for lockdowns. You voted for, having no autonomy over your body. So I feel more bad for conservatives, but like, what do you guys expect supporting people like this? At what point do people realize that something really crazy is going on? It's like a Black Mirror horror episode that we're living in. Second thing I want to talk about is, first of all, Seychelles. I just learned this, and this is the great thing about my job, is not only can I help teach people, but I teach myself every day, because, the more I read and look at news and stuff and analyze, the more I learn things I didn't know. Seychelles is a country in East Africa made of 115 islands, and, I really was not aware of that. I'm not that well traveled, to be quite honest, and I'm learning about them because I read a Yahoo, a Bloomberg article, and this is Bloomberg. It says, World's most vaccinated nation activates curbs as cases rise. And Yahoo said Seychelles brings back curbs despite vaccination success. So if you want to know what a curb means, it's a nice way to say a lockdown, because I read the article and it says, a third of the active cases involve people who had 2 vaccine doses, the country's news agency said. So 33 or 34% of new cases involved people who had 2 doses. Although the doses were not the mRNA doses, to be fair, it was Chinese-made Sinopharm vaccine donated by the United Arab Emirates. And it says, trials in China and the United Arab Emirates say that Sinopharm vaccine has an efficacy of 79% and 86%. See how that works out. But it says schools have been closed and sports activities canceled for 2 weeks. Bars, restaurants, and shops are to close early, and some gatherings have been banned. So when they say curbed, they mean lockdown. They're just trying to use these words. If I put you in chains, okay, if I put your hands in chains and your legs in chains, and I say, walk a 50-foot line, I could either say I'm enslaving that person and treating them like a slave, or I could make up a nice name for it and be like, I'm just social distancing their arms. I'm social distancing their legs. And I'm giving them exercise in more weights because I care about their muscles. And the more weights they have on their arms and legs, the more their muscles are going to grow when they walk. That's what I could say. Or I could say, I'm treating you like a slave. So, they could say curbed or lockdown or quarantine or, vaccine only section. They could call it what they want, but it's human slavery. The word enslaved means to lose freedom and choice of action. If you don't have a choice to do like one of 1,000 things in this country, unless you're doing the pharmacy product that you may or may not want to get, you're not free anymore. You're just a slave. You're a second-tier citizen who just lost everything in the course of a year. So I'm not trying to scare people, but I'm just being honest. I know they use pretty words like curbed, but what they're doing is sending Seychelles back into a lockdown, which is essentially taking away most things that they enjoy, and that keeps them healthy and sane and mentally healthy. And these people don't give a crap. So they're apparently the most vaccinated country, according to Bloomberg, and their cases are still rising, and they're going back into lockdown. On that note, once again, I said it at the beginning, but I'm going to repeat it. All this fear mongering about India, as of right now, as of this second, as I'm looking at the data, obviously this changes every 24 hours when they upload it. India, which is taking the heat as if, oh my God, people are just dropping dead in India. It must be number 1 in deaths per capita, right? There must be more deaths there than it's 112. 112. It's so far down the list that I couldn't even find it. I thought they didn't have it because United States is number 18 in deaths per capita. Spain is 19. Mexico's 20. Portugal's 21. Andorra's 22. France is 23. Number 1 is Hungary. 2 is Gibraltar. I'm like, where's India? It's so far down the list of deaths per capita, you can't even find it on these websites. So they can make a mountain look like a molehill and a molehill look like a mountain. And I don't know what's going on in India, so I'm not going to speak on it, but I do want to say this. A lot of countries have a lot of problems. India has 99 problems, okay? To quote Jay-Z. They have overpopulation problem. They have a poverty problem. I'm not hating on India. I love India. I like people from India. But, anybody from India knows that they have a lot of issues that they're facing as a country, and they have for decades. So you throw something like this in, you have to weigh certain stuff like that out. How much of that is caused from this? How much of it's caused from that? But that's something they don't want to do. They'll lock you in your house and take away your gym. They can do, the math and be like, hey, we don't know, but like say more people got fat than got skinnier. Because when you take away gyms, when you take away sports, when you take away health facilities, when you take away travel, when you take away work, when you take away jobs, people are going to get fatter. So I'm sure they have the data that says when we took everything away, we made more people fat than we made skinny. But then a year later, they'll be like, well, also, 90% of the deaths are in obese, countries, or, 70-something% of the hospitalizations are obese people. So that's a big part of the equation because, how old you are, how fit you are, how healthy you are, that always plays a factor. That's just like the most simple, basic science that we know. It's like, there's a lot of things I could do to be healthier. There's things I could do to be unhealthier. And of course, that plays a factor. Just like how old you are with a virus. But these are things they don't want to say. They're not making any sense. And I hope people are catching on now because it's not going to get better if you give up this right. And this is all I'll say. I've never told people here on my stream, I've never told people to get the vaccine. I've never told them not to get the vaccine. I've never given advice because I don't know who people are. I don't know what risk they consider. I don't know how scared they are. It's not up to me. I don't tell you what to do, but you know who does tell you what to do? Jimmy Kimmel, Facebook. Everybody's telling you what to do. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Here it is, CBS News. Yankees and Mets will offer free tickets with COVID vaccine shots. I've never seen them so desperate to get everybody to get something. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, where the Mets play. I believe that's where the Mets play. In vaccinated and unvaccinated sections. So they're going to segregate vaccine and non-vaccine. And if you read the article, it says, I believe that non-vaccinated people at the games will be forced to wear a mask mandate. So now you're a second-tier citizen relegated to a mask if you refuse to get the big pharma shot. And it's not just a one-time thing. I think Tucker Carlson, if you can find it, look for the Tucker Carlson Fox News segment on vaccinations and forced vaccinations. It doesn't, he gets it perfectly. It doesn't make you an anti-vaxxer to refuse this type of stuff. Like, most people in this country are vaccinated, a majority of people. Not that many people are anti-vaxxers. There are some, but it's not like they're trying to say anybody that knows what they're doing, anybody that wants to refuse this one, anybody that doesn't want to submit to everything they're doing is an anti-vaxxer. It's not even remotely true. And what they did is held us for ransom for a year. If you look at the data, if you look at the death rate, if you look at the childhood rate, if you look at the elderly rate, if you look at New York City, if you look at what Cuomo did, if you look at all the numbers across all the places, if you combine the most vaccinated places like Seychelles and Israel, and then look at other, countries that have less vaccines, like 1, 2, 3% of the population have them, you can look at certain countries like that, and all this is public, also have a drop off of cases because, to be quite frank, I think respiratory illnesses tend to die down in the summer, and we have 80 plus years of data on that. So this is all called just, statistics. It's like you add this, you look at this, you look at this, and every which way, the only thing that seems constant, the only science that seems settled is the fact that they want you to get this vaccine so bad that they will ignore data, that they will ignore reality, that they will ignore childhood spread or death rate, and just tell everybody you have to get it, and you're a horrible, terrible conspiracy theorist if you feel like this is a little strange. But it obviously is strange because we've never had lockdowns, we've never had quarantines, we've never had an economic implosion that has been forced by the government and the corporate class. This isn't normal. And I think Tucker put it very well, but if people don't understand, well, I'm going to get this shot, I want to travel, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, I'm just going to get this so I could be free. That's what a lot of people are thinking. They don't want to do it, but they're doing it because they think they're going to be free. But what does it mean to be free if being free means you have to do this anytime the government, the corporate class, and big pharma tells you to do something? You think they're going to stop with this one? Of course they're not going to, and they're already telling you that publicly. You might have to get it every year. And if they can force you to get one every year, maybe they can do another one. And maybe there's something else. So you lose your freedom as a human being to actually not have a food or a drug injected or forced into your body. And if you lose that right, there's some tough times ahead because no human should lose that right. If you look at any world war, any genocide, any horrible moment in history, whether you call it fascism, authoritarianism, communism, whoever you want to blame for whatever part of history, there's one thing in common. It seems like when you lose total freedom over your own body to be able to be left alone, it's not going to work out. You're giving Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer the ability to take everything from you, cruises, beaches, combined with the government and Facebook. They're all kind of just, pushing the same narrative. This is so much bigger than just one mRNA or 2 mRNA doses. This is like everything that your ancestors probably fought and worked so hard to get away from. Countries where they didn't have the freedom to do this, countries where they couldn't travel. This is so much bigger than just that. So that's my message to everybody. If you think you're going to cave and get this and be free, I think you have another thing coming. And they're furious. They're furious that they can't get 100% of the population. They want everyone to get it. And every day that every single person does not bow down to their lockdown and bow down to their vaccine mandate, they just become more and more unhinged. And the more and more unhinged they become, the more and more you could realize that these people don't really care about the science. If you talk about protests and such, I use this as an example because this was when I realized that these left wingers and these health experts that are pushed on Washington Post and such, they don't seem to actually care about the science that they tell you they care about. An example of that is, when they told everybody to social distance for 2-3 months, and then everybody's out in the streets for the George Floyd. That was at a time when even Republicans were listening, even conservatives were listening. They were like, you know what? Okay, we'll give you a month. We're not going to go out. There were very few gatherings, very few concerts, very few events. Most people at that time were conceding to the fact that maybe it's a good idea to lay low for a month. And the George Floyd protests / riots became a multi-million person gathering where thousands of people, tens of thousands of people jammed together in the streets. And you heard virtually nothing from all these experts and all these people who told you couldn't even play tennis at that time, or basketball with 2 families, or kick the tennis ball, don't pick it up. You heard nothing. You know why? Because they don't care about what they claim to care about. Same with now the CDC says, if you get a vaccine, you can take your mask off outside. There's people in Biden's, crew that's admitting, I'm still not taking it off outside. It's a habit. There's people on TikTok saying, I don't want to look like an anti-masker or Republican, so I'm going to keep mine on despite every guideline telling me that I could take it off. These people are full-blown insane. There's never a reason to cave to them, because the more you cave, the more they take. And I want to say this, I'm not going to be mean today. I'm going to be calm because I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but in April, when Operation Warp Speed went through, I knew this was going to lead to mandatory vaccination, because when you can shut the country down and you turn off the economy, you turn off the Constitution, you turn off churches, you basically just overturn everything that made America great and free. And instead of giving money to people or giving freedom to people, because I guess they gave us a few bucks, they give billions of dollars to Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, all these. What do you think it's going to lead to? Of course, at this point, they're not going to let you free until they give you the shot. This was always clear. So, back in April, I feel like people were like, anomaly, Trump doesn't want it to be mandatory. It's like planting an apple tree and saying you don't want apples. If you plant an apple tree and you water it every day, you're going to get apples, whether you say you don't want apples or not. And that's what Trump did. And that's what Republicans did. They were all in on it. They were in on the lockdown. They were in on the $1 trillion CARES Act. They were in on the mass testing. They were in on the ventilators that you don't hear that much about because it was probably a disaster. They were in on, the funneling money to vaccine companies. And when you take away churches and give money to Pfizer, you're basically asking for them to do that. So I think people need to get a little tougher on their people, their party, their politicians, and really their community, because I heard more excuses from April until now than I heard like passionate people who were ready to, reject tyranny regardless of where it came from. So, this is going to be tricky to reverse now that it's all been implemented. But my only thing is this: I'll never tell people what to or don't do. But I think personally, just to be honest, if you're one of these people who gets the injection and goes to the Yankee Stadium and goes in the vaccinated only section, I don't think there's going to be a time, if enough people cave to that type of ideology, I don't think it's ever going to be over. You are now playing along to this. You are now fully implementing yourself in this. And, in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or 12 years at this rate, I think you're going to have to tell your kids or your grandkids, man, when I was younger, we used to be able to go to baseball games without a pharmacy injection. And, we used to be able to breathe air without masks on airplanes. We used to be able to cruise without being screamed at, every 2 seconds to put a mask on. I think that's the world that we're building. So it's like anytime you lose freedom in American history, you very rarely get it back. They said that income tax, I believe, was supposed to be temporary. Has income tax gone away? No, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think it's, in my opinion, while I won't tell someone what to or not do, I'm not a doctor, I don't claim to be, I just feel like this is such a separate issue from being against vaccinations as, are you against human slavery? Are you against this idea that you're allowed to be a second-tier citizen if you don't get something? And I will say this too, my entire life until last year, according to doctors, there has been flu every year. And especially it's always ramped up in my lifetime and in my parents' lifetime. It's ramped up in the winter. They named it flu season because that's when the flu always gets super, super high. if you do the research and you search flu vaccine, when was it created? I don't know the exact year offhand, but I believe in the 1940s is around when it became very popular. And we've had a flu vaccine since the 1940s at least. So that's 75, 80 years of a flu vaccine. It didn't put a dent in the flu season. There were huge flu seasons where, double, I don't know, tens of thousands, even, there's one article I read 100,000. I mean, we were having some of the worst flu seasons of the century in my lifetime. So the flu vaccine was not putting a dent in the flu cases. Was it helping? I'm not saying it wasn't, but I'm just saying the flu season, it always ramped up every year. So the point I'm trying to get to is this. They're going to say there's variants. Oh my God, there's a variant. Oh my God, it's back. Oh my God, there's another wave. If this is anything like the flu, I'm not saying it's the flu, but if it's anything like a respiratory, illness that we're familiar with that has seasonal, bang, it's like people get allergies, people get the flu, people get COVID. It's not going to go away. There's a chance that this is never going to go away. So are you submitting to the idea that you can lose anything at any time based on cases of COVID-19 rising? If they did this with flu and counted flu cases and said the flu is rising, every winter you would have lost everything for your entire life. So I don't think people understand how math works. I mean, hopefully this goes away. I would love to see COVID disappear and never hear that name again. But if it's anything like other things that we've heard of, there's a chance that it could be here for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 plus years. And it could come in waves because that's what the flu did. It comes in waves. So I just find it fascinating. 80 years of the flu vaccine, just to be accurate, 80 years of the flu vaccine, the flu doesn't really fully die down. COVID-19 comes in. If you die from COVID, you get this money. If you could prove it's a COVID funeral, you get this much money. If you could say you have a cough in certain states, if you have a cough and you tell your doctor, oh, I was around somebody with COVID-19, they can diagnose you with a positive COVID-19 test without a PCR test. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's mainstream news. I've done multiple videos on it, citing literally government and mainstream news, because that's how they're counting cases in some states. Of course, they're using the PCR test on a lot of people, but they don't even need to for certain diagnoses. So when they start doing all of this stuff and it's COVID, you get tested for COVID here. I've never been tested for the flu in my entire life, and I've been diagnosed with the flu multiple times. They would always test me for strep throat when I was younger, and they would say, you have strep throat. And then I would take antibiotics, or they'd say, you don't have strep throat, you have the flu. And they would check me down for the flu, and I've never had a flu test. So now you have millions upon tens of millions of COVID tests. COVID is at an all-time high, COVID-19, and the flu vanishes according to mainstream articles. It's gone. Where did it go? I mean, I can't fathom where it went. So if COVID's anything like the flu, I'm not saying it's the same exact illness, but I am saying it could be seasonal. It could never disappear. It could be here once, twice, 3 times a year in waves, just like a lot of things. Allergies, flu before last year. So that's not that crazy to think, but it is crazy to think that everybody's going along with this and saying, no, that makes sense. Take away my church, take away my beach, take away my restaurant, take away my park, take away everything. If there's a spike, I mean, we got to do this. You're signing up for seasonal slavery. And, if you read mainstream Forbes, I think it was Forbes, they're talking about climate lockdowns. They're already floating the idea we might have to lock down more for the climate. So you give this much power to politicians, you give this much power to big pharma, you give this much power to the government, you give this much power to the corporate class, you give this much power to big tech. You think you're just going to get it back when you get the vaccination? I'm not telling people not to or to get it. I'm just saying, I just don't think that's how it works at this point, because that's not how it ever worked. And it's not going to work that way. You can't just give people the right to treat you like this, ignore the data on obesity, ignore the data on child abuse, ignore the data on the cons of what they're doing. Of course, is there some pros? Of course, I even found a pro. Among this, the pros for me, where I got to spend a lot of time with my best friend. Over the last year, I spent a lot of time with my family, and I'm very grateful. I was able to, benefit off it work-wise. I was one of the few who could, because I work on the internet, and before they really started tapping, into my restrictions, I was one of the few people covering this, so I was allowed to gain traction based off just only 5 people were probably covering in total. So I could see the benefits of it. I'm not blind and saying everything's bad. I'm not a negative person. But this is what Facebook and Google and Twitter and Republicans and Democrats, but mostly Democrats, and all these, big wig experts and big pharma people, here's what they want to do. They want to tell you we know there's negatives. I mean, you could search articles and it's saying like hundreds of thousands of kids are dying in Asia. Like I'm dead serious. Like you could find articles that are saying that. You could find Washington Post articles saying like, I don't know, hopefully this doesn't happen with food shortages. Hundreds of millions of people could be suffering. They know there's a downside, but then they sit and look you in the eye and tell you, if you dare say that there's a downside to a mask mandate, even though obviously we know there is, even at best, there's a psychological and mental abuse to it. There could be pros, there could be cons. They don't say that. They say, if you disagree with your new status as a slave, if you disagree with this and say that there's bad things at all, even though there's multiple studies, and it's just simple common sense, folks. If your kid's 5 to 15 and you're putting them in a mask for 8 hours a day, most kids are not wearing clean masks. I mean, kids are disgusting. So no offense to kids, I was a kid too, but like I was not thinking about health until I was in my 20s. So I'm eating macaroni and cheese and just, I'm all over the place. So obviously, if you wear a mask during school, a lot of these kids have dirty, disgusting masks. It's not a theory, it's a fact. And I've seen pictures of it and it's disgusting. So there are cons to it physically, and there's obviously cons to it mentally and psychologically, but nobody's talking about that. And I will say too, before I end, if you're a conservative and first of all, if you're a liberal, I don't know what these people are doing, but I do know what, Naomi Wolf is doing, and she's doing a great job. Russell Brand, he's doing a great job. Everybody else, I don't know what else you're doing. If you're not Russell Brand or Naomi Wolf, or trying to, harness what they're saying and realize that this is a two-party deception, you're a joke. Like what are you voting for in Los Angeles and San Francisco? Like these people are getting exactly what they deserve. If you vote for all Democrats, your city's going to decline. You're going to pay more in taxes. There's going to be more crime. There's going to be more degeneracy and filth. People are going to be out in the streets just smashing things instead of cleaning up and figuring out how to open like the Thai food restaurant. They're just bankrupting all these. This is what you voted for. You're literally voting for human slavery. Like when you have to wear 2 masks and you could drive 2 hours to Arizona and nobody's doing that, you're playing yourself. If you drive an hour to a red county, it's like night and day. I would never live at this point in any liberal city ever again. I mean, they vote, they're getting what they vote for. I don't know what the voters are doing there, but in general, conservatives and Republicans, if you're not talking about medical tyranny, if you're not talking about forced vaccination, the root level of it, if you're not talking about cases and how they're counting cases, you're not doing anything. You're not going to conserve anything. You're not going to conserve the First Amendment. You're not going to even conserve the Second Amendment. You're not going to conserve the free market. That's long gone. You're not going to conserve anything. The only thing you're going to conserve is pictures of you on Instagram wearing a cowboy hat, telling people how conservative you are. So I'm not trying to be mean, but if you're a conservative and you're not making medical tyranny and forced vaccination and lockdowns and socialist $1 trillion bipartisan scam bills, if that's not a top 5 issue for you, you're not conserving anything except for likes on your cowboy Instagram posts. So it's about time to figure this stuff out. And this idea that it just came from Joe Biden, it didn't. Joe Biden, in my opinion, is a trash president. I think he's embarrassing, and I think he is such a joke. It's not even funny. But this started under President Trump. Without Operation Warp Speed, we wouldn't be here. And Operation Warp Speed was always going to lead to forced vaccinations. I had to hear thousands of people cry on my channel. No, he doesn't mean to. He's just giving Pfizer and Moderna all this money and power, but he's exposing Fauci by giving. Guys, give it up, okay? It's like planting an apple tree and then apples come off the apple tree. No, Trump just planted the tree. He just planted the tree. He didn't mean for there to be apples. He just planted an apple tree. Someone else was going to chop it down. It's like, no, that's not how it works. It's like lobbing somebody to dunk it. It's like, oh, he didn't mean for him to dunk it. He just threw him the ball right above the rim. It's like, Trump knows what he's doing. He sold you guys out. I know you don't want to hear it, but the reason I say this is not to be edgy. It's like, if you don't realize what's going on, you're just going to run in circles. You got to get to the core of what's going on. And outside of politicians, the core of what's going on is testing. It's not about me, but I only do it because I don't see that many other people talking about it. I have videos from last year. I have videos from this year. I do everything with testing, how they're counting deaths, how they're counting cases, I have it all. You know, what the PCR test is, everything, even before the PCR test, they're counting cases so hysterically. If you don't get to the core of that, you're not doing anything, because the cases are well, we have all these cases. We need to shut down. India, you would think they were number one in deaths per capita if you heard all this crying. They're not even top 100 as I make this video. There's 100 countries, 110 countries with more deaths per population, guys, than India. But you would not know that if you listen. If you listen to Scott Adams on Twitter, or you listen to Donald Trump in April, you would have thought that everybody was just dropping dead in Sweden because they weren't doing a lockdown. It wasn't just Democrats and Fauci who were pushing this idea that the lockdown was good. It was Trump and people like Scott Adams saying, we don't want to be Sweden. You conservatives wouldn't want to be like Sweden, would you? I mean, they have no masks on their kids. They're in public transit. They don't have a forced lockdown. You know, why would you want to? And I'm looking at the data and I'm like, Sweden was never doing that bad. Trump was fear mongering about Sweden having the most deaths for the week. They still weren't even top in deaths per capita. And very quickly, Sweden became less deadly per capita than the United States, because lockdowns are not healthy. Lockdowns destroy more than just the economy. They destroy the human spirit. They're mentally abusive. They're psychologically abusive. And in many ways, they're physically abusive, because you have restricted access to things that help you physically, and you're being strapped a cloth over your breathing holes. So, you know, the fact that these Republicans don't talk about this stuff, what are you conserving? Instagram selfies with cowboy hats, losing in slow motion with a cowboy hat, listening to Garth Brooks. And don't get me started. I could listen to Garth Brooks. I like Garth Brooks, but I got friends in low places too. But I just don't know what people are conserving. Like, you're not talking about medical tyranny right now. You're not talking about forced vaccination right now. You can't conserve the Constitution or the free market if you don't realize when they were taken from you. They were taken from you in March of 2020, and Biden is just the icing on the cake. So if you get rid of the icing on the cake, or you vote him out of office, is what I'm saying. I have to be clear on that, because they're, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? You know, Biden's doing all these oversights. It's like everyone's a terrorist. No, I'm saying vote him out of office. You know, it's not going to end, because Tim Scott and Trump are just as complicit in socialism, Operation Warp Speed, medical tyranny, and trillions of dollars of printing Federal Reserve. They're just as complicit as Biden is. So until people figure this out, you know, the core of what it is testing, you know, forced vaccination, and the ability to get people to give up their entire life over this idea that they could be held ransom for as long as the media and the politicians decide is good. A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10, what? I mean, this comes from cowardice and lack of honor. If people are so cowardly, you get what you deserve. If you don't want to stand up for yourself now, you think it's going to get easier? Of course it won't. So I don't say it to be mean, but we got to get to the root of what's going on, or else we're just running in circles. And that's what most influencers I see doing. They're just running in circles wearing cowboy hats. And I have a cowboy hat somewhere. I love cowboy hats. This is not a cowboy hat, but you could be a cowboy in the God bless hat as well. But you get it. I'm not hating on cowboys. I like cowboys. I'm just saying I don't know what these conservatives are doing besides like posing for pictures, because you got to talk about this stuff. This is the root of everything. And it's deeper than even blue states. I mean, DeSantis is fighting, it seems like, more than anyone else on the Republican Party, but you know, it's going to take some more effort. So that's what it is, folks. I'll answer some questions. You know, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thank you for being here. And just to wrap it up before I get to questions, the story of the day is Trump Oversight Board is trying to, or Facebook Oversight Board is trying to ban Trump. They basically did, but at the same time, they lobbed it to Facebook to say, you know, I'm just going to read this real quick. It said, the board said Facebook was right to suspend Trump in the immediate aftermath of the January 6th insurrection, but said Facebook couldn't make the suspension indefinite with no actual rule on its books for allowing that. So the Facebook Oversight Board actually admitted, we would like Trump to be banned permanently, but we just don't know if you even have a rule. When they censor me and when they do things to me, I don't know that they even care about rules. Like, what if I'm right and they're wrong? That's usually the case. No offense, but they're not that accurate there at Facebook. They don't care. It's like if this went to court or oversight, yeah, they would probably admit like you don't really have a rule to do that, but you do it anyway. So they're admitting that they want Facebook to ban them, but they're not quite sure how to do it. Seychelles, which is Bloomberg is calling them the most vaccinated nation, activates another lockdown as cases rise. Yankee Stadium is doing a vaccine and non-vaccinated only section. And India, despite all of the negative press, because I'm sure that there are bad things going on, they're not even top 100 in deaths per capita, and nobody's talking about it. I see Scott Adams. I like Scott Adams. He's a nice guy, the Dilbert guy. We follow each other. Maybe he did unfollow me. I don't know. He just constantly just spreads fear about Sweden and India. Oh my God, I told you it's bad. If you don't do it, it's like, bro, deaths per capita has got to be one of the most important metrics. How many people are dying? If everyone's catching cases, but there's not that many deaths per capita, it's kind of important. I think, what are we going to live this way for the rest of our lives, counting cases of things? So it's like the fear mongering is coming from both sides. And I don't know. I'm gonna call it all out, but it's like, now's the time to think about standing up for yourself peacefully, responsibly, but in some way, because this idea that you can give government, big pharma, politicians, media, and big tech all this power, and you're just gonna get it back magically, like in 3 months, I don't know that that's gonna happen. And I think, to be honest, the country is in turmoil. But I honestly think the Democrats are way more screwed, because at least conservatives, outside of, we might argue about Trump and they might, still like him more than I do, they get it. They get family. They get the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. They get, in many cases, like farming. So I think like the Democrats are screwed. Like San Francisco, New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles. Like, I don't know what these people think they're doing, like fighting Trump or hugging their Fauci doll, but you guys are in for, I think, a way more rude awakening than the right wing is. But unfortunately, or fortunately, we're the United States of America. So when you guys mess up, it kind of affects everybody too. So I would hope that there's some Democrats who watch my channel, and I would hope that they're thinking about what they're doing. I would say, if you want a liberal perspective to what I'm saying, listen to Naomi Wolf, a feminist who still has left-wing views. Listen to socialist, sympathetic Russell Brand, who I respect honestly more than Trump at this moment, because he talks about the Great Reset and non-conspiracy, real public, knowledge that these people are talking about at events. So, I mean, you guys got to figure it out. I don't know what's taking them so long. Bo said, greetings from Waco, Texas. How are you? An honest question. After we exhaust peaceful methods against the established culture of elitism, classism in our government, is the only path. I can't read that. You're going to get me banned on everything. So honestly, I think if people stood up for themselves peacefully, this would all end. But I appreciate the super chat, but you saying that, like, that's gonna get me censored and banned, just reading your super chat. So first of all, probably not a smart thing to publish for you either. Considering what they're doing and how much they're cracking down on everything, probably not a smart idea for you to publish that for your own sake and for my sake. But, I think there's 1,000 ways to win this battle. And I pray that it never gets to that point on either side, like in general. But yeah, I think if people just did what they say they would do, this would all end tomorrow. Like, you realize all of this is compliance. You don't have to go out in arms. Like, I would hope that you don't, but that's not where are you going to go out with your arms for? What? Just stop playing along to if every Trump voter just peacefully and respectfully stop buying into the two-party propaganda, stop buying into it would all be, I know 80 million Trump supporters are not doing this because it's still going on. So I think just stop playing along and become self-sufficient more. And this could probably all disappear tomorrow. But, I appreciate the question, but you're going to get me in trouble. Cowboy Bear said, why are you always hating on me for my headwear choice, man? Cowboy Bear. I wear a cowboy hat. I'm not opposed to cowboy hats. I'm just saying, I feel like some people, like, how could you be a conservative influencer and not talk about forced vaccination, medical tyranny, and trillions of dollars? They say they're free market capitalists, trillions of dollars of printing Federal Reserve notes. I'm just joking around because I see everyone's like, ooh, I'm at the TPUSA event. Yeah, I'm conservative. Socialism sucks, yo. I love Tim Scott. Socialism sucks, but when Tim Scott does socialism, it's like dope because the left wing called him an uncle you know what, and that's racist, man. Racism doesn't exist in America, but when someone says something mean to Tim Scott, I'm going to sit and call him a racist on Twitter for a week instead of actually doing deep diving analysis on the lockdowns, yo. That was a terrible impression, but you get what I'm saying. It's like that brand of conservatism is so corny Someone needs to tell them to stop doing it. I don't need to be popular. I don't need any more friends. I don't need women. Life is good. I'm in a good space mentally. You get it? I'm not looking for attention. I just want you guys to just do something. You know, like you got all this going on, use it and do something for your country besides like this vain, like self, it's like, I might talk shit sometimes. I might joke about myself. I put in a lot of work, okay? When I say godblesshats.com, that's my website, dreamrare.com or godblesshats. But I also put in work. I got hundreds of videos. It's like my one video supersede. These people are like, I'm at TPUSA. Socialism sucks. I'm just here with Nikki Haley and Ted Cruz. We're out here fighting socialism. Operation Warp Speed, sick, yo. I mean, if Biden would have done Operation Warp Speed, I would have called it a betrayal. If Obama did it, I would have called him a horrible person. But when Trump funnels billions of dollars to vaccine companies who hate us, man, that just feels so good. It feels like Space Force to me because he did it, but he doesn't want the vaccine industry to have more power. He gave them more power so they don't have power. You get what I'm saying? He doesn't want it to be mandatory. He just did what they said to fight them. It's like that brand of conservatism has to stop. I don't want more attention. I don't want to be liked. Just stop doing that for God's sake and do a video that actually matters on a topic that's important. Please, you could do it. I see so many influencers doing it. There's a lot of winners out there. But it's like status quo, like my age. People are like, yeah, yo, socialism sucks because of my pen. And I'm like, what about the CARES Act? The CARES Act was socialism. You shut down half the country more, and then you just print trillions of dollars and give it to all these companies who literally hate you. They're like, what? Republicans wouldn't do that. We're fighting Joe Biden. We're fighting China Biden. It's China. It's China. And I'm like, I'm not saying it's not Joe Biden and China. I'm just saying, do you not realize that your party literally did that too? And they're like, what are you, liberal? I'm like, you guys got to stop. If not, I'm just going to make fun of it every day because I find it very funny. I think I'm funny, but I'm also biased. Maybe I'm not funny. Maybe I have to work on my comedy routine. That wouldn't be the first person who told me that. I've heard I'm not funny several times, so it doesn't hurt my feelings. Do what Alex Jones did and start your own website. I mean, listen, we got to start small. Dreamrare.com, godblesshats.com. I have websites. I have exposedlockdowns.com. You can read FDA fact sheets and mainstream articles on that website. God, I have maybe I'll make my own website like that, but we gotta slow down for now. But you're right. I probably should have a website. Someone said from Waco, the AFT is probably trying to get Anomaly banned. Yeah, that was very suspicious. Yeah, no offense to Bo, but that seems like an agent or something. Like just, hey, I'm from Waco, Anomaly, should we take up in arms? It's like, no. You're like, are you trying to get slaughtered by the U.S. government? That sounds like a bad idea. Like that did seem like a setup. I'm not saying you're an agent, Bo, but you're like, hey, I'm from Waco, Anomaly. Can I get you to repeat what I'm about to say on your stream? It's like, no, dummy. Excuse me. I'm not trying to call you dumb, but it's like, that's a good point. That seemed very, very sneaky. No offense, Bo, but very, very sneaky. It's like, hey, Anomaly, should you repeat what it's like, I appreciate the super chat, but I feel like you're trying to set me up. And this is what I feel like this whole week is a setup, but it's okay. Yeah, that seemed very fetty. And listen, we back the blue here. I have Smurfettes all over the place. We back the blue. We love the Smurfs, okay? We love the police. We love the government. They're there to help us. We love them, okay? Everyone has, people have family members in the government. We just don't want to be taxed 50% and we don't want to live like slaves. That's it, okay? Peacefully, respectfully, just don't do it. That's it. It doesn't take violence. It takes peaceful non-compliance to tyranny. If every parent was a good parent, this would be over. Like, I know it's a tricky situation, but in my opinion, there's millions of parents letting their kids just be abused on a daily basis and they just can't even do anything about it. I don't think you can. I think, it's that simple. It's like, just stop doing it. All right. We'll read some stars on Facebook. Someone said, what do you think about Candace Owens wanting to run for office with Trump in 2024? Do you think Trump will run with her? Well, here's the thing. I like Candace. We're friends. I don't think Trump should run again. He failed on the biggest policy in modern history, and he still hasn't learned his lesson. He still hasn't apologized. He brags about rushing the FDA through FDA approval. He's Mr. Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed equals mandatory vaccinations. Operation Warp Speed plus lockdown, plus elevating Fauci, plus the $1 trillion CARES Act. Trump did this all to us. Biden could have never done this to us if Trump didn't do it to us first. Trump set us up, and Biden's just finishing us off. So do I think Trump should run? No, I think he should not run. DeSantis, Candace, anybody is better than Trump. He doesn't get it, or he doesn't care. People have Stockholm syndrome. They're like, I love Fauci. Fauci's my hero. He puts me in 2 masks, and I just can't wait till Fauci tells me to breathe. It's called Stockholm syndrome, when you're in love with your slave master. That's what it is with Trump now. It's like, why would I want him to run again? He doesn't get it. So anybody but him would be fine. Not like Liz Cheney, but Candace gets it. DeSantis seems to get it more. Trump doesn't get it. I don't know why, but it's not a small issue. If you don't get medical tyranny and you're bragging about rushing out these vaccinations, has he really put up a big fight against mandatory vaccinations? No. He's given me 10 emails, 5 emails. I don't know how many emails has he emailed Operation Warp Speed, huge success, but he doesn't seem to mention mandatory vaccination. He said it in his CPAC speech, Operation Warp Speed. He talked about it for a couple of minutes. He didn't say anything about it. He doesn't care about you guys. And the sooner you figure that out and move on, the sooner you can actually conserve something. Do I want Trump to run? No, I hope he doesn't. He will lead you right back to the slaughter and implode the Republican Party permanently. That's what I think. I appreciate what he did. He revolutionized the Republican Party. He inspired millions. He helped us a lot. And then he tanked the entire country and said, that's all, folks, like a Looney Tune. Someone said, I'm leaving the country. I'm out. This place is sick in the head. Well, I hope you stay. You know, we need some good Americans. But honestly, America is amazing in many ways. I love America. But we are actually very brainwashed in other ways. Our food and our drugs, like people don't realize how brainwashed Americans are. Like other countries do not take this many pills. Opioids, I think I read the other day, like 80% of the world's opioids are in America, 5% of the world's population doing 80% of the opioids. We are brainwashed by big pharma in this country. And that's why it all started with America and Operation Warp Speed, because we are pharma capital. With food and drugs, they treat us horribly. And then we look up to these people like they're saving our lives. Like the same companies and the same agencies that don't give a crap about obesity and opioids and mental health decline and life expectancy decline for the first time in a long time, they're saving you by locking in your house. And this is like a popular or controversial opinion. I hate to say that America deserves this because I love America, but America kind of deserves this. I feel bad for myself and others, but at the end of the day, I'm strong. I'll figure it out. What do you expect? Like what does our country expect? We're this dumb? I feel bad, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I don't know. People need to figure stuff out or else you get taken advantage of. It's like if you're getting bullied in school and you just let it happen. Like you got to stand up for yourself or you're going to keep getting bullied. Or someone else needs to stand up for you. I don't know. I feel like we can do better. Someone said, look into getting Monero wallet so I can send you donations when you're YouTube. I don't want to talk about crypto right now. It's not because I don't think it's good. I feel sick to my stomach. I don't even want to explain what happened because there's always a story. Oh, I could have made money if I would have had this. Everyone has that story, but I have that story. And I don't even want to talk about it because I had Ethereum Classic and I had Dogecoin and I had a lot of Dogecoin and I had a lot of Ethereum Classic and I sold and they're up so much money, I feel sick to my stomach. I don't even want to say how much I had, but enough where I don't feel good because everyone else is making money with the cryptos. And I had paper hands, which means you sell diamond hands. And someone said, you get what you deserve. I agree. It's my fault. I blew it. It's all me. Blame me. I would have been a Dogecoin millionaire. I would have been an Ethereum Classic millionaire. And now I'm not. And my feelings are hurt because I had Ethereum Classic when it was at $8 and I had a lot. And it's up to like 100 something. I had Dogecoin at 3 cents and it's up to like 60 cents. I don't want to talk about it. It hurts my soul. Now I'm going to have to slave over YouTube and Facebook videos for 5 years or 10 years just to make the money I could have made buying a coin with a dog's face on it. This is the world we live in. We deserve Dogecoin and Caitlyn Jenner. That's what our world deserves. I blew it. I still made a profit. Not on that. I made a profit on stocks. I'm up. I can't complain. I'm not down. I made a little bit of money. I'm happy. Not as much as I could have made on the Doge. I should have stuck with the crypto. Someone said it's a scam. That's why I sold. But it's like if you could cash out and make times 30, you made money. You know, it is what it is. I get it. Like people are like, it's just a dog coin. It's like, well, some people put in $10,000 and made $1 million. So to them, it's a scam. But if you sell and someone pays you $1 million for your Dogecoin, you just made a crowd. You know, it is what it is. The whole world is a scam. So sometimes you got to roll the dice. That's like with Caitlyn Jenner. I know a lot of conservatives don't want to support Caitlyn, or, you know, some people call her Bruce. I call her Caitlyn. You know, I'm respectful. I think California deserves Caitlyn Jenner. I know people on the right don't want to hear that. How dare? I'm like, what do you think we deserve in California? We don't deserve like a tall, burly man that believes in conservative values. We deserve Caitlyn Jenner and Dogecoin. I feel like that's more fitting for California. You know, we should elect Caitlyn Jenner, and our currency of California should be a coin that means nothing with a dog on its head that you can buy or sell. I feel like that's just an accurate portrayal of where we're at. Does that mean I think that's ideal? Clearly not, but I don't know that we don't deserve an actual, serious contender at this point. Someone said your knowledge and purpose makes you more valuable than money. Well, that's the nicest thing someone said to me today. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'm grateful. Listen, I've done well. I feel more blessed than I've ever felt in my life. I still feel a certain way about losing all that Dogecoin money, but I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You're right. I could wake up tomorrow. Now I feel like a shining star. You know, I still have my knowledge and my platform for now. Life is good, but I'm always going to look at the Dogecoin and just shake my head and be like, calm down. It's okay. You know, there's other coins out there. Someone said, oh my God, no, invest in AMC. I promise you. I know so much about it. It's going to be a short squeeze of a lifetime. You can make it up. I have my life savings invested. Research it. Promise I can give you more info. Grace, I appreciate you. Am I just getting like rampant Fed posts or are these actual people? I'm not making fun of you. I'm just like, it sounds like a bad idea. Excuse me, to have your life savings in AMC. I mean, maybe that's a good idea, but like, this doesn't seem like a real post. Someone said, keep on keeping it real. Too busy raising my kids and money, trying to convince people they're indoctrinated. They want to be. Yeah, it's best to just, take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Like, are these real posts? Someone's like, hey, I'm in Waco, Texas. Anomaly. What do you think about, go? I'm like, dude, you're going to get me in trouble. It's 5:00. Calm down. And then the other one's like, hey, I have my whole life savings in AMC. I'm like, I don't know if you ever want your whole life savings in a stock, but maybe. I'm not knocking you. Listen, I make stupid decisions all the time. I'm just curious if these are real people or if feds are just trying to make me look stupid. They're like, yo, invest in GameStop, put all your money in GameStop and let's all go to Waco. I'm like, yo, this doesn't seem natural. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe we just got a wild bunch today, but I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just saying I feel sick because I could have been a Dogecoin millionaire. That's all I'm saying. Jose said, First Amendment's for my mouth, Second Amendment's for my house. That's a good quote from Two Jack for the Gulag. Classic song by yours truly. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate you. God bless. All right, I'm going to read this. Somebody's calling me an asswipe, and I find it funny. So Jeff, top fan on Facebook, sounds like it. You didn't lose money, asswipe. You didn't make as much as you could have. To lose money is entirely different, dude. Well, thank you, top fan Jeff, who called me an asswipe. I always appreciate a compliment. No, I did lose money on Dogecoin. I get what you're saying. I could have made $1 million, but I actually lost money on Dogecoin. Literally, I bought it at like 6 cents and I sold it at like 4 cents or so. I don't know. I lost more money than I want to talk about. I'm up total, but no, I have lost money. You're calling me an asswipe and you don't even know the full story. It's fine. I find it funny, but I did lose money on Dogecoin. I that will be on my taxes somewhere. Next year when I file taxes, on there is going to be like a Dogecoin loss. And hopefully I could write it off against like Ethereum classic gains or something. I don't know. How does crypto work? Hopefully I just didn't play myself. But someone said, why would you vote a trans in? I said that I think California deserves Caitlyn Jenner and Dogecoin. I didn't say who I'm going to vote for. The election's not even started yet. I just said that's what California deserves. I don't think we deserve a different candidate. I think she's a good representation of California and this world. I think this world has gone loco, and I just think Dogecoin and Caitlyn Jenner represent that. I didn't say I'm going to vote for her. To be honest, I don't know what's going to happen with California, and I don't think she's a good candidate because I don't think a lot of conservatives will vote for Caitlyn Jenner, and I think liberals hate anybody who's Republican. So it's like that weird pandering that's not going to work. Like they're trying to please both sides, and you end up just pissing everyone off. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's like throwing a wrench in the entire election, personally. And if you want to be honest, I'll just say it. The Republicans, they pander so cringe. Like I feel like they think that everything's like, half the Republican Party is like fighting intersectionality. They're like, oh, the left wing, all they care about is race. All they do is race-based stuff. We don't do that on the Republican Party. So here's Candace Owens' Black Summit. Here's the Latino thing that Anomaly's at. Here's the American Dream Plan for Hispanics. Here's the Platinum Plan for Blacks. This is the It's like you guys act like you're not the same exact as the Democratic Party. Are you better? Of course, you're going to get my vote. But are you fighting identity politics? No, you guys play just as many identity politics as the left wing in hopes that you can get black people to vote for you. And it just never works that well, although it's improving. So the point I'm getting to is like the right wing doesn't understand race at all. And in California, if you were going to pander, I don't think you should, but if you were going to pander, you should pick like a Hispanic man because there's way more Hispanics in California, I believe, than black people. And I think Hispanics would probably, vote for like a Garcia or something, that would have more of a chance to pick up random like Hispanic votes than like a transgender like athlete or like, just some random black candidate that they pick because they're like, oh, this is going to combat the left. I think a Hispanic would work better if you were pandering, but I'm not saying to pander. I'm just being like, they're like, ooh, we could be like the left too. Here's Caitlyn Jenner. And it's like, who is that impressing? Liberals hate Caitlyn Jenner now, and conservatives probably feel a little bit skeptical for obvious reasons, many reasons. So I don't know like what the Republican Party is doing, but I don't think they know what they're doing. I just think that's like they try so hard to like combat identity politics, but I get it. I do. But at a certain point, you could just pick somebody authentic. I think like, just like placing someone there and being like, I am the Republican version of Ted Cruz, except black. It's like, why just pick someone, just pick someone that like doesn't have to act that way. But I don't know. What do I know? Thank you, Larry. Bless up. Someone said taxation is theft. I agree. How many Republican candidates are there now? I don't know, like 5, but I don't know that anyone really captured the moment except for like Caitlyn, which I don't know. I think it's not looking good in that category, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen if everyone's going to rally behind someone. I'm not sure. We'll see. Someone said Jenner will win. Watch. I would rather Caitlyn than Gavin Newsom, but it's definitely like not ideal for, I don't think anybody woke up and was like, who should lead this country? Conservatives like 3 weeks ago, they're like, who should lead this state back to freedom? Caitlyn Jenner. And like no one was saying that except for clearly like Brad Parscale. No offense to Brad Parscale. He follows me. I'm just saying he's like, it seems like he's running the Caitlyn campaign. I'm just not sure that the rest of the base really wants that. But I don't know. I don't know how other people feel. Me personally, I'm going to weigh everything out, look at it all. I'm not voting for Gavin Newsom. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know that this was like the best play, but it's not really up to me. Clearly, I don't have a say in anything that happens in the state or country, or else none of this would be happening. But, I'm just one vote, so no one cares about me. Why not run myself? Well, here's the thing. I like to do media. I think media controls the mind. So if you can inspire people via media and you can, help shift the mindset, to me, that's even more important. People vote a certain way because someone told them to. Why is my grandma Democrat? She was never Democrat because Stephen Colbert told her to be, so the media controls the vote. I think like Andrew Breitbart said, politics is upstream from culture. That's true. If you can't control the culture, you're going to lose the election. So I'm not saying, I'm so important, but I think media is more important than politics. With that being said, if I were to run for office at some point in my life, I would have to study. I'm not just going to grift and be like, I'm running as a Republican. I'm the Trump guy and just get $10 million and get blown out of the water. If I'm going to run, I'm going to win. And if I'm going to run to win, I would have to study. I would probably go back to school and get like a law degree. I think I should learn law and poli-science. I hated poli-science in school. So I'm not just going to run and grift and not know anything. I would have to fully get a law degree probably, or study law enough where I was familiar with it. And I would have to study poli-sci to the point where I was very well-versed on how it works. It's, I don't really, the inner workings of it, I obviously understand to a pretty decent extent because of what I do, but I wouldn't half-ass it. I would definitely study, and I don't want to do that. But I think someone said most of our prime ministers are lawyers. Yeah, I mean, if you don't understand law, you're not going to do very well. There's a lot of legal traps and such like that. But I think media is really important. I think it's I don't think what I'm doing is not important, but I'm not saying it's that great. But I don't know. Everyone's like, you got to run for office. I think I'm doing okay. I could probably do better though. Someone said, if Bruce wouldn't have transitioned to Caitlyn, let me just read this. He could have easily won because he was an all-American hero. Yeah, no, I honestly think it will hurt him. I don't know. That was the choice that he made though. So yeah, I don't know that that's going to help him on the Republican side. I don't know. Certain people, they're just not going to want that. But we'll see what happens. I can't really decide. Anomaly, listen to my tribute track to you on SoundCloud. I'll try to check it out. You could email it to me or message it to me on Instagram. Someone said I should have been a grifter. I would be rich, rich, rich. Well, I think political grifting is insane. I'm not complaining because I'm a simple guy. I do well. Life is good. I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed. And the sky is the limit. If I want to take it to another level, I probably could if I did certain things differently. But the quickest way to make money, I would think, is politics. Think about how much work and time I've put into my videos. I've put tens of thousands of hours into editing and filming and live streaming and researching. I've put so much time into this, and the amount of money I made is 1/8 of what I would make if I ran for office. If I use my platform and said, guys, I'm running for governor of California, I could raise millions of dollars, and I would probably lose because I started too late. But it's an easy way to make money. I don't know who gets that money or how campaigns work, but I just know if I say, hey guys, I'm making videos and this is important or whatever, I'll get a certain amount of money and it's great. And I'm doing very well. But if I said I'm running for president or I'm running for governor or I'm running for the House or the Senate, I would make millions instantly. So it's definitely a good way to grift if you can figure out how to do that. But I'm not that interested. I don't like politics really. And no disrespect to people who run. I'm going to read this. Let me see. Mark said, you're not governor material yet. Okay, thank you for the compliment. You need proper perspective based on law, business, and sociological trends and pitfalls. Well, I think I have a good idea of like trends and stuff, but as far as law, I agree with you. I would wanna learn much more. There's a lot of people who get into it and don't learn anything though. I mean, to run, you could lose and make money. You don't need to. You should. I agree. You should learn, but how much has Caitlyn Jenner studied? I don't know. Has she spent years studying? I don't know. Do I golf? I suck at golfing, but I'm trying to change that because I feel like it's a good sport. That's the one sport I suck at. I'm getting better though. I've gone to the driving range and such because I'm athletic. Something about golf, I just suck at it. So, I think I need to take lessons and get my swing right. But I like golf. I'm just not there yet. Give me like a couple years. Someone said MMA fighter Tito Ortiz got elected to office in Huntington Beach. Tito Ortiz is a great guy. I've talked to him a bunch, like at events and stuff. I can't say like all the time, but, I've talked to him a few times. Very nice guy, very, very kind-hearted guy. And yeah, he won. He did a great job. He won, he took it seriously and got to city council. I mean, he's an example for, anybody. Like, he's at a point in his life where he wanted to be in politics. And I think that's a great place to start. And he won. And I think he's learning a lot about local politics through his position. So Tito's a great, great guy. Really good guy. Like him a lot. He's always been supportive of me. And he's just a super nice guy. Like, when you talk to him, he's so nice. Yeah. Tito's definitely a Chad. Good guy, using his platform and his success to help out his city. Legend. Big legend. I'm no good at golf, but give me an 18-hole putt pat. Yeah, I'm a better putter. Like, I don't want to brag, but I putt. Okay. Some people hit long balls. I'm a small game putter, but I do want to get better at actual golf. But yeah, putting is fun. I agree. How's boxing coming along? I hurt my finger. It's almost fully healed, but I was boxing and my friend didn't move his arm out of the way, and I punched his elbow with my thumb, and it jacked up my thumb pretty bad, but not as bad as it could have been. So I've actually hurt my finger pretty bad before. So I haven't been able to box in like a week because my it's not fully healed, but it's getting close. So I could probably do it again. I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty good, but not as good as someone who boxed their whole life. If someone's boxed for years or something, they're probably better than me, but I'm pretty athletic. I have quick speed. I'm like 6'2", 6'3". I have long arms, and I got a heavy punch. But yeah, someone could probably beat me pretty bad if they've boxed for like their whole life. I haven't even sparred yet. I've just been casually taking like lessons on how to footwork, form, the pre-stages. So I'm not nothing to write home about, but good exercise. Would I invest in 2021? Well, I have investments. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know anything. I know enough. I'm not stupid, but this is not my strong point. I don't like to give advice because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've invested. I invested in the stock market last March when it tanked. I was like, this is probably a good time to get in. I made a lot of mistakes. I went up, I went down, but overall I'm up maybe like 50, 60%. So can't complain. I'm doing okay. That's good in a normal year, but pandemic years, you could be up like 400% if you're smarter. But would I invest? I don't know. It's a tricky world. Crypto, stocks, look kind of bad because of Biden. Inflation is a possibility. So yeah, I don't know. I personally am invested, but I don't know if it's the smartest thing to do or not. I can't really help you there. I actually watch YouTube videos in my spare time. I like to watch financial people get people's opinion and see what they're talking about. Sometimes I listen to Dave Ramsey. Sometimes I just watch YouTube people on like investments and stuff, but I'm learning and it's not my strong point. Someone said I like gold and silver. Some people, I know Schiff likes gold and silver a lot. Some people like the crypto. Some people like real estate. It's I don't know. Some people like Tony Robbins, I see. Yeah, Tony Robbins is a fun guy. Very positive guy. Someone said inflation's not a possibility, it's a guarantee. Well, I guess I would say, like, will hyperinflation happen? Because if we just get regular inflation like a depression, we would be lucky. I mean, guys, we shut the country down bipartisan for a month and we still haven't fully opened as a country, as a corporate class. Like, we screwed ourselves pretty bad. And it started last year, not this year. So if we could just have it like a little depression and inflation, we'd probably be lucky. Hyperinflation would destroy the country instantaneously. So hopefully the inflation is not that high, because if it goes hyperinflation like Germany, or like Venezuela, that would be a catastrophe. So I pray that doesn't happen. We have a pretty good banking as far as like a big country. I don't know if that helps us or not, but I pray that does not happen. Someone said, I think media is your game anomaly. I mean, I don't want to juggle too many hats. Like I say I do news analysis and hip hop. That's what I say on my thing. I'm doing very big things in both. Like as a hip hop artist and a news analyst last year, I don't know how many millions of views I got. And then I played at one of the biggest shows of the year in Sturgis, and I got to perform in front of like thousands of people. So, I do those two things, more news analysis, less hip hop, but I feel like I'm sticking to that for now. I'm not trying to get into politics, but media, entertainment, I feel like that's important, and there's a huge void there. And like Cardi B could probably like do more than certain politicians, like people like her more than they like Kamala Harris. So there's a lot of power there as well. I don't want power like that, but this idea that only politics matters, I think culture definitely matters. What about my book? I'm going to go in like a couple minutes, but I've been caught up the last couple weeks. Like I'm not going to say I've been stressed out, but I definitely like the NPR and like them talking about me. It didn't stress me out, but it made me like have to change my plans and kind of defend myself. And then the Orange County School Board meeting, that went super viral, and that was like a mistake kind of. I didn't even really like figure out about that until 2 days. So I kind of got knocked off course. My book is very close to finish, but I haven't written it in a while. I'm doing the merch stuff. I have like 800 emails now. I have Patreon. I have so many things I'm juggling. I get exhausted. So I need to like spend like a couple hours one night and do the book, but I've been kind of slacking, which I should finish because I think it's going to be really good. Also, I have usaproductsonly.com, which is a site I made with two friends, which is for United States made products. And I haven't got to update that in a few weeks because I go over every company. We got thousands of emails. And before I add a company to our website, it's USA. I do research. I spend minutes looking at your videos, your products, your sales, your Etsy. I go through it all. So I got to figure out a way to streamline all this other stuff. But I like to be involved. I don't like to, I delegate a little bit, but I like to have the final say. So I have all those going on. I won't say I'm stressed out because life is good, but it's put the book on the back burner, and I should get it finished because it's pretty close. What's the book called? I don't want to say the name of it yet, but it's going to be about language and speech and words and how they use language and words to take away speech and how they're lying about pretty much everything. So yeah, someone said time is flying by. That's real. I feel like weeks and months, I was supposed to have this out last December, but yeah, don't talk about time. It makes me sad. Time does fly. Like, I feel like it was just my birthday, and it's almost my birthday again in a few months. All right, one more question, and we're gonna roll out. Someone said gaslighting. Yeah, exactly. That's a word for it. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. I asked a question. Yeah, I didn't see it. Sorry. All right. We got to end on a good note. Let's see. When's my birthday? My birthday's in October. I mean, it's not that close, but I'm just saying, like, in a couple months, it's going to be like September. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I do feel like it was just yesterday. So it's a little while, but I would say I'm almost or more than halfway there. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thanks for being here. I'm going to work on a video. Hopefully I'll have a new video in the morning. These hats are dreamrare.com. You go to dreamrare.com or godblesshats.com. I have that domain too. God Bless Hats, the black beanies, these ones. I have 2 tank tops too. I'll work on more stuff, but I warehouse it now. So before I could just do a bunch of products. Now, I get them. We get them. We warehouse them. We print them. We stitch them. We get them back. And then I have somebody who ships them all individually and does customer service for me and does it way faster. So that's kind of the formula. So when I get a new product, I'm going to buy like 600 of them or something. I buy them in bulk and I spend money on it. So that's how I'm doing it now. That's why I'm keeping the products low. But, the hats are great. Honestly, I love these hats. Like the quality, the stitching has been fantastic. The new people are doing a great job. And, I saw Lynn Wood wearing one the other day, which is very cool. Of course, he does his thing and I do my thing, but I believe he's a man of God. And I think he means well, and he's got a lot of love in his heart. So I love seeing him wear the hat. He looks good in it. So does everybody. I'm a little biased, but, it's a good vibe. And that's what it is. And also, I have my free email list, stayintouchwithme.com, and I gotta figure stuff out, but Facebook keeps turning on and off certain things. And I just found out now they do, like, I think if you guys probably see ads on Facebook Live, they just added that into Facebook. They had advertisements on Live. So while I'm monetized, if you see ads, I apologize if it's annoying. I don't even know how it works because I haven't been on the receiving end. But that, for me, it is good. I know it's probably annoying like on YouTube, but when you see ads, that's one way that I can monetize. And while it's hot, I would like to, because I don't know how long, certain things last. And this world seems like nothing lasts forever. So I appreciate everybody watching, and that's what it is. I'll be back hopefully with a new video in the morning, but if not, very, very soon, because I've been editing and it takes a while. Thank you guys. Have a good day. And thanks for hanging out today.